Hey everyone, it's Nate. Today I'm going to be showing you how to save a significant amount of money with some simple, crazy easy, applicable steps. Let's get it. Welcome back everyone. My name is Nate and I'm here to help you master your money. So if there is one thing that we have learned in 2020, it's that we need to do better at saving money. Let's be real, guys. I think we all could do better in this department. And today, I'm going to give you actionable, simple steps to start saving more, no matter where you're currently at. Saving money is incredibly important, and there's so many things that you're going to need that money for at some point, whether it's an emergency medical procedure or something on your car breaks or something on your house breaks. Something's going to cost money at some point in time, and if you don't already have that money saved and ready to go, it's going to be really hard on you and your family, and it could cause you to go in pretty serious debt if you're not careful. Also, once you start saving money, you can eventually move on to investing that money to get that money working for you. And so when it comes to investing, just a little bit of money can go a really long way. Just a few months ago, I did a calculation figuring out if you take just $76 a month, purchasing the FSCX mutual fund through Fidelity, you can average a 16.05% annual return. I adjusted for a 3% assumed inflation, so 13.05%, and you have that over the course of 40 years, investing $76 every month. You'll be able to retire with a net worth in your retirement account of over $1 million. Just for $76 a month, you retire a millionaire. So this just goes to show a little bit of money can go a long way, and that averages out to just a little over $2 a day. If you can find $2 a day to save, you can be a millionaire. That's it. But I feel like a lot of you aren't quite to the investing stage just yet. So today we're going to help you get there, because before you start investing, there's a few things you should take care of and get sorted out before you go on that journey. And so the first two things we need to take care of is going to be, first of all, getting an emergency fund set up, and two, dealing with any high interest debt. So if you already have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up, ready to go, and you don't have any high interest debt, congratulations, you can skip on to the timestamp above where this will actually start to help you out. But for those of you who don't have that sorted out, let me explain what this is. So one of the best ways you can give yourself peace of mind is going to be to have at least, at minimum, 3 months worth of expenses saved up in a savings account. Ideally, you have 6 months, but 3 months will work for this example. So let's say your base expenses every month is $2,000. If you're to have 3 months worth of expenses saved up, you would want to have at least $6,000 sitting in cash ready to go. And then the second thing that I mentioned just a moment ago, which is high interest debt. So mostly when I mention this, I mean credit card debt, which a lot of people contend with. They have. It is not a good thing to have on you because the interest rates are astronomical, somewhere in the range in between 20 and 30%. That is not something you want to have working against you. And so once you have your emergency fund set up, take as much money as you can and then put it towards those high interest debts that you have. And if you want to be really savvy, this is what you do. If you have this in credit card debt, what you can go ahead and do is open up what's called a balance transfer card. Take the money that you have on your credit cards, consolidate it, and send it to the balance transfer card. What this will do is it'll charge you an upfront fee of 2 to 3%, somewhere in there, but it'll give you up to 2 years of interest-free time for you to pay back that balance. This can be absolutely huge because in some cases, the interest you have accruing on your card every month could be more than you're actually able to pay. So this would put things on pause for up to 2 years for you to be able to deal with that and be able to then move on with your life. And then in the future, use credit cards responsibly. So now that you've addressed those two things, we're now gonna get to the building blocks of the tricks on how you can save more money to be able to start building an emergency fund, getting rid of your debt, and eventually investing so you can be a millionaire one day and drive a Lamborghini and $1 million house, which is what we're all trying to do, right? No, I'm just trying to sit home and play with my dog all day, but that's just me. So when it comes to anything, it is very important to have a goal set. So whatever your goal is with savings, you should identify that and have that up front so you know what benchmarks you need to hit and how much you need to be saving. And once you figure out your goal, you can reverse engineer your finances to match that and to make sure that happens. One downfall that I have seen with many people that have a lot of drive and desire to do big things is they lack focus. And what goals do is they help you to focus your energy on completing a certain task. Once you have those things working in the same direction, you can start to see real results start to show up. So once you set your goal for saving, whether it's weekly, monthly, yearly, whatever that looks like for you, tell someone about it. I know that talking about money is kind of a taboo subject currently. I was not raised that way, so I don't quite understand it, but I know that it can be troublesome. What I have found that is incredibly helpful is having people in your corner that can help keep you accountable to what you need to be doing, which you may not always do, but if you need to be doing it, having people that can advocate for you and encourage you in the right direction can be invaluable. So tell one of your friends what your savings goal is, and if you have a good enough relationship with them, they will kick your butt to make sure you get it done. So you find you a friend like that. And so if you're looking at everything that I'm saying and you're like,
but Nate, I can't do anything. I have no money to save. I can't save the money I need to do in this amount of time. And I can't make it work. It's not going to happen. And this is ridiculous. And I hate the whole thing. And I am going away. So I'm going to dislike, unsub, and I'm going to go make 5 new Google accounts so I can dislike more of your videos and unsub more times. I hate you that much.
Please don't do that, first of all. But I understand your frustration. It's incredibly hard out there. Simply put, the system is rigged against you, so you have to work really hard, actively, intentionally to beat it. You need to start with something. It's not going to happen if you don't make it happen. So start with a manageable amount. Even if it's just a few dollars a day, even if you just do $1 a day, you can set aside. That's $30 a month. That is $365 a year you are saving that you were not previously. So you're already ahead of the game if you can just do that. But I would challenge you, start with at least $50 a month. Get that going. And once you have that, you can build from there. And then once you get in the habit of doing this, increase the amount every month, maybe another $50, and then another $50, and then get it to a point where it's a sustainable amount that you can save where you're not starving and living in a box, but get it to a point where it is sustainable, where you can live with the things you need, but you're on track to reach your goals in a reasonable amount of time as well. So with all the theory, big picture stuff out of the way, here is the practical things you can do to literally save you hundreds of dollars a month just by making little shifts in your life. So item number 1 is obviously to cut out unnecessary spending. So if you're going to get like 15 spray tans a day, you should probably cut that out because that's not benefiting your investing goals. So cut that out first of all. Second, start looking at your daily small expenses that may only be $1 or $2, but over time those build up. So keep track of those, and honestly, if you start tracking little things, they will turn into bigger things and bigger things down the road. So now that we've covered getting rid of some of the non-essential items, we need to start talking about the essential things, things you truly do need to survive, to function, but ones we can cut back some of the cost on if we get creative. So the first essential item here is gonna be food. Everyone needs to eat to survive, but we don't need to be going to get filet mignon every single night. That's not sustainable for most people. So the first thing you can do is really simply buy off-brand stuff instead of buying name brand. It sounds simple, but it really is effective, and essentially for most items, it's the exact same product, but just with a different sticker slapped inside of it. Additionally, when it comes to eating out, you can cut way back on this and save a lot of money, or if you really like eating out and you still want to keep doing that, this is what you can do. When you go to a restaurant, order an appetizer and share it with a friend. Or even better, go during a happy hour where they have discounted food or drink items, and then go and enjoy and have the same experience, but for half the cost. Oh, also, this is what my wife and I do. We'll go ahead, when we go someplace, occasionally we'll share a dish, and then it brings the cost down to like $10 instead of like 20 to 30. This is another one that I like doing too. If you go to the supermarket, they'll have various places in there. They'll have clearance racks for some things. And if they have canned goods that's on the clearance rack, typically canned goods last a good long while, even beyond their expiration date. So you can pick up some canned goods for half the cost of what they'd normally be, and they're totally fine. So one last little tip here with food, and my dad actually used to do this, and I used to laugh at it, but it's pretty genius, and I see that now. My dad used to go to the deli in the supermarket, kind of near the end of the day, and he'd go to the butcher and say, hey, do you have any ends of deli meats and things? And what I mean by this is like the little end of the brick of the cheese or meat or whatever that they have that's too small to use for making more slices, so they set it aside and wrap it up, and usually they would have to throw that out. My dad would go though, he would go and he'd request those, and he'd pay $2 or $3 a pound for really good cold cuts that he'd come home and make sandwiches with for the next day. So that is food out of the way. Next up is gonna be housing, which is an unavoidable and incredibly expensive thing, and especially if you live in big, high population areas where the cost of living is really high, this is probably consuming up to 50% or even more of your budget. So a pretty common savings hack with this is gonna be to get a roommate. And if you get really creative with it, you could potentially end up getting paid to live where you're at. So hypothetically, if you were to get a 4-bedroom apartment, rent that out, and let's say it's costing $2,000 a month to do that, and then you get some roommates that come in and live in the extra 3 bedrooms that you have, you live in one and rent the other 3 out, but you charge them $700 a month to live there. Well, I mean, let's do some quick math. $2,000 for the rent costs and then $2,100 for your rental income. You're making $100 to live there, and you have much cool roommates to hang out with. So I think that's a win, but some rental contracts don't allow you to do that, so you have to check with what your agreement that you have is with your landlords. But if you own a home, you can do this pretty easily. And if you rent things out by the month or you use Airbnb, you can potentially make a couple $100 to a few $1,000s every month extra just by renting out the spare bedrooms you have. Additionally, if you have a home or you have an apartment with a parking space, you could potentially rent that parking space out from between $20 to $100 per month just for a parking spot that you may or may not be using. You don't know. Also, if you own a home and you have a shed or space in your yard, you can park larger things like RVs and boats, you name it. People will pay you to park things in your yard if you have space for it and you offer that. There are so many ways that you can use the space that you have to make more money for you and to decrease your net housing cost. And last tip with housing, when you're going to buy a house, which is an incredible accomplishment, you should consider buying a duplex. When you do this, you can potentially house hack. What this enables you to do is to live in one side of a duplex, rent the other side out, and if done right, you could potentially get paid to own a home. In addition to this, you also get to leverage the incredible tax codes that benefit people that own real estate and use it for business purposes. Next up is going to be transportation, and this one can be quite costly, but I have a few tricks here to help decrease that and help you to live a more frugal and financially minimal lifestyle. So let's say that you have a car that has a pretty high cost of ownership with maintenance and oil changes and whatever else. It's expensive. What you could do is sell that car and then buy a different car that has a much lower cost of maintenance. So a really good example of this would be if you're driving a BMW, they're expensive to own, maintain, insure. It's just expensive all the way around. But if you were to sell that and go ahead and buy a Toyota or a Honda, they last quite a bit longer than BMWs will, I can assure you of that, and they're significantly cheaper to maintain. And additionally, this is really cool too, Hondas and Toyotas retain their value incredibly well, so it's gonna be a much better buy in terms of avoiding depreciation. All right guys, and the next tip is, don't buy a new car. Just don't do it. If you're gonna buy a car, if you're gonna finance it, find a car that's in good shape, that's like 3 to 5 years old. It has already taken the hit of most of the depreciation, and you're gonna get to enjoy the car for a relatively long time, but not take the massive depreciation hit you get in the first few years of ownership. Next tip here is gonna be to avoid paying for Lyft or Uber. They're very expensive. There's other better options. Public transportation in most places is incredible. Where I'm at, there is none basically unless you go into Dallas or one of the bigger cities. But in other places, it can be incredibly helpful and cheap and much more cost effective than doing a Lyft or Uber. And so my last tip here to decrease your transportation cost is going to be to rent your car out on Turo or another service if you don't use it for parts of the week. So let's say you go to work Monday through Friday, but on the weekends, you don't go anywhere, you chill at home. You can rent your car out on those days and you can get up to $100 to $200 a day for renting your car out when otherwise you'd not be using it. This is an incredibly simple way to put this thing that you own to work to make you money. Okay, so now we've gone over practical ways to save money on everyday expenses. Next, we're going to talk about how to make sure that money that you're saving. Next, we're talking about how to protect the money you're saving to make sure you don't go ahead and spend it. So one pretty simple thing that you can do to help save more money is going to be to set up an automatic draft from your checking account to your savings account on the day you typically get paid. Now, if you're a gig worker, a commission-only worker, or if you're a server, this could be harder to do, but if you have a fixed salary schedule, this one's gonna help you out. So if you get in the schedule of constantly having this money taken out of your bank on the same day you get paid, it'll be almost like you never got that money, and really, it forces you to live in a lower salary than what you otherwise would. And while doing this, you're saving money, which is fantastic. So once you are in a habit of saving your money, you really got to protect it. So this little trick here can be incredibly valuable. If you go ahead and when you get your money that you decide you're going to save, I have $100, I'm going to put this aside, not touching it, and you put it in your savings account. If you do that, you're almost guaranteed basically to spend that. That's unfortunately how that is. But psychologically, if you put it into another account, like an investment account, brokerage account, you will be significantly less likely to spend that money just because it is in what's called an investment account. Because it's there, it's going to provide a psychological roadblock for you to keep you from spending your money. So there's two really great apps that you can use to start doing this with. One is going to be called Robinhood, and if you sign up with them right now, they're going to give you a free stock just for signing up. And the second one is going to be Webull. They're going to give you 2 free stocks for signing up and then depositing $100. And one of those stocks is valued up to $1,600 for Webull, so I would highly recommend you check them out. Links to both of those things are going to be in the description. They have apps for iOS and Android, so that's super easy to use, transfer money to, save, invest there, and kind of use that as your piggy bank, which psychologically prevents you from spending it. So if you want to ignore the rest of my entire video, that's totally fine, but if you just listen to this one thing here, I think it'll really help you out. When you're building your budget, and you should be building a budget, by the way, if you have not, please check out my resources that I have in building a budget. It will greatly help you out. I'm going to link the video up here. But what you should really do is when you're building your budget, build your budget assuming you make 30% less than what you actually do. If you do this, it's gonna force you to save money, and when it comes to the end of the month, when you realize, oh wait, I have an extra $500 here, whatever it looks like for you, that can be taken and immediately put right into your savings account, investment account, or towards your debts. Whatever that looks like for you, you can start working on getting yourself financially fit. All right, guys, so with that said, that is all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed today. I hope it's able to provide value for you and your life and your situation. And if you would do me the honor of subscribing to the channel, I will be here to support you and encourage you in all your financial things. And I'll post twice a week, every week, forever, to help you guys get there. So with that said, I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Thank you.